Hi everyone, my name is Erin Colleen Garrity, and I'm so excited to be here and talk about who I am beyond like Facebook stuff and what do I do. Because I have been doing my work for almost a decade, and I have helped hundreds of thousands of people on their healing journey in different ways. I started with helping people with yogic techniques, then I got really into the energetics, then I got really into the cerebral aspect. And then when I started exploring things like shadow work and healing inner child, and I started combining my yoga world with my life coaching world. And so that's a little bit, in a nutshell, what I do. I'm going to explain a little bit more, and I'm going to share with you some techniques that I use when I coach. So who am I? I'm Erin Colleen Garrity. Hi. I've been podcasting for almost 10 years. I am a certified master life coach. I certify other coaches. I am a leader of yoga teacher trainings. I've done 11 of them. 12 is coming up. I am a spiritual leader in my community. I am a martial arts aficionado. I love yoga, everything about it. I recently went to India, and it absolutely changed my life. I made a lot of great friends, and it changed my perspective about yoga. The way that I teach yoga, I try to, as much as an American woman can, stick to the roots of where yoga came from. I try to honor that. I chant mantra. I do pranayam. I try to the best of my ability, represent yoga in totality with respect to where it's from. So it's an ancient science. And I love to incorporate yogic techniques into when I coach, which I'm going to talk about a little bit because it's very unique, I'm realizing. And again, I've been in my own little bubble because I haven't necessarily had the woman power to push my business in this way. And I want to just tell people what I do because a lot of people don't know. So I was originally born in Paterson, New Jersey, which surprises a lot of people, except for when they do my Vedic chart. They're like, this makes sense. Like I've said, I've been doing my work for over a decade. I own 2 studios, Thrive Yoga and Fitness on Cortez Road in Bradenton, in case you're local, or if you're even not local, I have a lot of people fly in for my trainings, for my retreats. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Melissa. I am going to talk a little bit about my coaching course. So I have a coaching course that's coming up September 16th to the 23rd. And I do 8 intensive days with people. It also includes 6 months of a mentorship where I'm actively involved. And if you ask anyone who's taken any of my trainings, they will tell you that I care, I'm involved, and I love to watch my students succeed. I will do whatever it takes. As long as my student is matching me in effort, I will take you to the moon if you want to go. Like, buckle up. I am very invested in my students' success, and I think that is something that kind of sets me apart from other life coach programs, because a lot of times it's sort of like, all right, well, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. And I'm like, I'm going to watch you walk through the door. I'm going to hold the door open for you, right? And I'm going to help you on your path. So I love to incorporate the science of yoga with, hi Priya. I love to incorporate the science of yoga with coaching techniques. I have about 30 different techniques that I teach in my course that I also use with my private clients. And I'm going to go through some of that today. So the first thing that I teach in my coach course, and I have a booklet on it right here, is called the CLEAR formula. So this is an acronym. It stands for circumstances, look at your thoughts, emotions, actions, and results. So what the CLEAR formula does is it organizes your thoughts from facts, right? Because thoughts are opinions and judgments. And even though they might seem like reality, it can bring better peace of mind if we can separate what's actual reality, like objective facts, from our opinions or judgments. Once we do that, the mind settles down. After that, we separate the thoughts from the emotions. So a thought causes an emotion. Like if I see my phone, I have a thought, I hate this thing. I always have to pick it up and it's always ringing. That's a thought. that is an opinion or judgment, which creates a feeling inside of me that's dread, like, I don't want to even look at it. And then I cause an action, I put my phone down, right? And that results in me focusing on other things. So that's just a small example of the organization of how the mind works. So you create your own reality, right? And I teach my students how to be accountable, how to rein in their thoughts, again, using yogic science. But then I add another layer to it using about 30 other techniques that I teach in my course. So anyways, clear formula. Circumstances, look at your thoughts. So once we sort out one thought per one emotion. That is something that I teach to help organize, because a lot of times you have so many thoughts going on, you're like, I don't even know where to begin. This formula will help solve any problem that you have and make it much more objective. So it takes it out of the sort of scrambled egg of your mind and puts it on paper. You get really good at it after a while, and then you can just do it in your head. It's amazing. So then we get to see our patterns of, when I think this way, how do I feel? Is that how I want to feel? Right? So if you are feeling dread, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling sad or grief or anger, you're creating it. So that's what I teach my students. So hi Nahid. So that's what I teach my students. I teach them how to take accountability for what they can and how to organize it, how to create peace in the mind. Now, once there's peace in the mind, we use some breath work, we use meditation, and in all of my courses, we always start with yoga, pranayama, and meditation, because this gets the energy going. When energy is stagnant, that is when pain is present. Doesn't matter if it's physical pain, doesn't matter if it's mental, emotional, even spiritual pain. So when we get the energy going, that's when we start to make a change and a difference, and that's when I see my students shift. And for me, it is one of the most rewarding things, and I get to see it almost every day. What I'm presenting to you is incredibly powerful. Now, based on our emotions, we'll take a certain action, won't we? Right? So if it's like, after, for example, my Wednesday night yoga class, if I'm like, I just feel, I'm like overwhelmed, I'm probably not going to want to go to the kava bar and hang out with my friends. It's just too much. It's too stimulating. But if I feel calm, content, happy, I'm more likely to be social, right? So we can see how emotions would affect our actions, right? And then from there, we have our results. So based on that action, what does that result in? So you get to see the pattern of your life. What I do is pattern analysis. So I teach my students viveka, discernment, and vitarka, which is reasoning, in their own lives, so that they can really crack open their lives. This isn't template shit. This is like real deal stuff. And this is just the first tool, but it's a doozy. When people sign up for my program, I have them start to get very familiar with this. Okay, so that's the first, and I have my second one. Now, if you ask anybody about me, they're probably going to tell you that when they talk to me, I make them cry, which is only partially true. So I invite people, by creating a safe space for them to feel whatever they're feeling, to get energy moving again. By doing this, by uncovering and allowing the body to process the emotions that we have stuck within us, we create a clearing to where you get to choose a new pattern. But a lot of people are caught up in their own emotions, which causes them to be reactive. When that happens, they start creating results in their lives that they don't want. So I teach people literally how to sit with their feelings and breathe. Now, if there's a repetitive cycle, if there's thoughts that are creating these undesirable feelings, then if it's too much, we use the clear formula. But with processing emotions, you have to learn how to feel your feelings. There's no way out of it. The good news is that a lot of times we think that feeling our feelings is the worst thing ever, but that's the resistance layer over it. Once you uncap that, your body actually has perfect capability to process anything stuck within you, any sadness or grief or shame. Your body is so equipped. That's another thing about the way that I teach is I teach you how to trust yourself. I teach you how to build a relationship with yourself of safety. And during that 8 days, we do that. We become so close. We're studying each other. We're calling things out compassionately. But if you want to get to the root of why you are performing certain behaviors, we will get there. And I'll teach you not to be afraid of your feelings so much, which is really important. So I don't have all the booklets with me right now, but I have these 3, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this one. This one is a doozy. This one I actually didn't have in my first coaching course, but I thought, my personal relationship with my romantic partner, we're both alphas. We both had a lot to work through. And you see me here now as this yogi and a loving person. I was not this way growing up. I was angry. I was addicted to drugs. I had an eating disorder for 12 years. So the tools that I have been tested on me. Not only that, they have been refined over the years, used with clients, getting feedback. So all of the techniques that I have been tested, have been proven to show results. And so anyways, the relationship toolbox. So this one is kind of thick, which is good because relationships are a lot of everything. And a couple of the things that I go over in here is victim mentality and how to get out of it, persecutor mentality, how to get out of it, and how to stop rescuing people. So typically people fit into one of those 3 corners of the triangle. And what I do is I teach techniques on how to become aware of that, because sometimes we're in denial. If we have a pattern that we have continued over years, it is because it's doing something for us. And that is a different way of thinking. It's a very compassionate way of thinking. So if I'm repeating a pattern over and over again, it's because that in some way it is giving me some sort of relief. It is giving me some sort of dopamine pop, or I have a subconscious belief system that is fulfilling itself. Your brain likes to solve puzzles. And so if you have a subconscious belief system that is, how can I prove that I'm worthless? How can I prove that I don't deserve love? How can I prove that I'm a shit person? You will continue to fulfill that prophecy because you have unchecked subconscious beliefs. And that is the level that I go with people. It's not template work. This is deep and customized. So drama triangle work is something that I do. And I show you how to get into the winner's triangle, which is the antithesis. So rather than attacking a person or attacking yourself, you learn how to challenge the situation in a healthy way. Another thing that I teach is nonviolent communication. Nonviolent communication has changed the way that I run my business. It has changed the way that I interact with my friends and family because I'm able to speak from a place of needs. So we all have needs, right? And this is something that we, a lot of times as women, I speak from the perspective of a woman, we shove them down. Now, I know that men do this too because I work with plenty of men, but it seems like we like to pretend that we don't have needs when we do, and then we try to find a way that's kind of backwards to get those needs met. Or we will develop patterns of behavior that cause us to try to get that need met. When we start becoming aware of our own needs, and not just that, but verbalizing them, making it okay. And if it's not okay for you to have needs, then becoming aware of them first and doing some work and asking the question like, why? How come it's not okay for me to have emotional needs? How come it's not okay that I need appreciation sometimes? How come it's not okay that when I feel sad, I want to voice it? How come it's not okay that I need space sometimes from my friend or partner? So asking these questions and being curious. A lot of these techniques create space in the mind. When you have space, you're able to look at your patterns rather than them being here and you're like, I'm overwhelmed. My life sucks. Rather than that, take a step back so then you can see what is actually happening. And so I teach you how to take that step back. I teach you how to create space. And then I teach you how to not just analyze your life, but how to solve the problems. And then there's aftercare, right? I think my program is the best program because that's all the things that I want that maybe in the program I took, I got about 60% of that. The program that I took was very, very good. I went to the life coach school with Brooke Castillo, so the Castillo Life Coach School. It's one of the, if you search the Life Coach School, or Life Coach School, it's the first one that will pop up. It's an amazing program. They charge quadruple what I charge. And again, their program is awesome. I'm so happy that I graduated from there, and no disrespect to my teachers, but I incorporate a lot of metaphysical tools, a lot of energetic tools, a lot of tools that have been proven over and over again in yoga to be, it's a science, right? It has thousands of years of backing up. So Relationship Toolbox is another very exciting segment, and sometimes I open just that segment up to the public because it's that important and powerful. It's something that I also use when I do couples coaching. So hi Natalie, hi everyone popping on. Okay, so the next thing that I want to discuss is the dropper technique. So if you have a lot of built up emotion over the years, for example, a lot of people when they come to me, and I talk about this in my first 2 books, shame or guilt. A lot of people are coming to me with shame or guilt. And when we get down to the root of it, sometimes feeling shame and feeling guilt that's been sort of like compacted and compressed over the years like a piece of coal is overwhelming. It just doesn't feel safe. It's not possible. So I developed 2 techniques, dropper technique and reverse dropper technique, to allow us access. So just like how you would take a little bit of a maybe toxic substance and build up an immunity. I'll give the example of peanuts, right? If you're allergic to peanuts, maybe that's not a good example. Say if you're allergic to cheese, okay, something like that. If you build up an immunity to it, if you try a little bit, it starts to lessen the impact that it has on you, and you can deal with it, right? So maybe cheese wasn't the best example, but hopefully you can kind of gather what I'm saying here. So after a while, you build up an immunity and you're able to relax and see, hey, see, it's not so bad. Like, you're strong enough. You can handle it. So I have different techniques of how I help you get there, but a lot of it is drawing inward and actually feeling your feelings. Because if you have a shame or guilt response that's built up in your body, you're probably in this cyclical destruction. It might not be a big destruction. It might just be like, oh gosh, I promised myself I'd stop drinking on the weekends. Here I am. Or, oh gosh, why did I eat that whole bag of chips? Here I am. Or, gosh, I thought I was going to speak up for myself. Here I am. Right? So if we have this sort of cyclical, compounded emotional state that's stuck within us, the dropper technique is something I use to help you sort of step into it little by little. So it's a little bit more gentle. The reverse dropper technique is when you're already in that space, like, oh gosh, I'm in shame spiral, like we're going down. So if you have that, the dropper technique that I use, reverse dropper, is to just a little bit add a feeling that's a little bit lighter. I'll tell you this, that working with lots of different clients, one person's joy is another person's terror. Meaning that some people, it's hard for them to feel happiness and joy because of their personal history and just things that they've been through, their trauma. And so sometimes if I say, oh, you want to feel joyous, right? And a lot of times when I lead retreats and trainings and things, it surprises people and they say, I have such a resistance to feeling love. Or I have such a resistance to feeling joyous. Like, why is that? I want that. I know I want that. And so it's, we're complex beings. We have a lot of, in yoga, they call it like grantis and samskaras. So these sort of like layers that are built up in our mind that sort of form our reality. It's sort of like the grooves in a record. And the grantis are these blocks along our energy channels that just keep us stuck. So I use so many different techniques to help you open up, like 30 different ones. And I'm so passionate and happy and maybe a little bit funny when I teach. So I try to really keep you engaged. So that's the dropper technique. The relationship manual and boundaries, I'm going to talk about them together. Manuals are something that we have for another person that is completely unspoken, that is completely unknown to the other person. So for example, I have a manual that when somebody comes to my house, that they're going to take off their shoes, right? They're going to have a seat and they're going to speak with inside voices. That's a manual that I have. Some examples of manuals are, I expect that my husband is going to take out the garbage. That's just a man job. That's what he does. And the wife is going to cook. That's a woman job. That's what she does. Or one that I had was, every time I go on a trip, if I'm gone for more than 3 days, my boyfriend, I want him to have flowers for me, right? So these were unspoken manuals that I've had and maybe you've had. So manual work is all about becoming aware of our expectations of others, seeing if they're fair, because they might not be. I expect you to be happy all the time. Not really fair, because that's just not respecting the broad palette of human experience and emotion. So manuals are very interesting work and a lot of times very surprising and really give us perspective. And then we talk about how to communicate that. Boundaries. Boundaries is a word that's thrown around a lot, but I will tell you that boundaries have 4 components. 1, they are set from a place of love. 2, they are clear, like crystal clear, so that there's no doubt as far as what the boundary is. 3, there's a consequence. If you do this, I'm going to hang up. If you talk to me that way, I'm going to hang up with you on you. I'm going to leave you, whatever the boundary is. 4, enforcement of the boundary, which usually step 3 and 4 is what people skip. And then the pattern continues. So I teach boundaries in relationships. I teach you how to set boundaries with yourself. It is one of the closest things that you can have to rubbing a genie's lamp and getting what you want in your life. So it's personal accountability. It's group accountability. Again, not only do you spend 8 and 10 of days with me, but we also have like 5, 6 months of a mentorship and a mastermind. So in addition to that, I have a couple of, so I start to go from the really like cerebral part of the course into more of the energetics. I have a book called Manifestation Station, which is all about using the sort of feel-good chemicals inside of your body, yogic techniques and breath work to be able to manifest what you want, to be able to go into a space where you can actually feel it. But I have you write it down. Get very clear about what you want and why you want it. Because sometimes we don't even realize that we are living the dream of somebody else. We're living our parents. For example, I was an English teacher for a while, and it was fine. It was all right. I was good. I wasn't great. I was good, and it was fine. I got paid a decent amount, but it was not my dharma. It was not like my ultimate dharma. Maybe it was my small dharma in the moment, but I was living the dream of my father. So my father's a teacher. I just didn't know where to go. And so luckily yoga found me, or I found yoga, however you want to name it. And now I'm living the life that I want. I'm surrounded by people that love me. I have deep and meaningful relationships, and I'm happy to work at it because my life is awesome. Right? So me stopping some of the patterns, like having an eating disorder, having, addictions and things. If you create a life that is made of your dreams, you will want to show up for it. So that's what I show people how to do. So a couple of other things that I do is shadow work. So again, another hot buzz topic, shadow work. The difference in shadow work for me is that I treat your shadow like a person. I treat your shadow as a living, beating entity that you have within you that has needs, that just wants to get that part of you met, that has trauma, that has pain, that needs to be looked at. And so I have a whole module that I do on shadow work because that has been a lot of my journey. And this next group coming up, I can tell we're probably going to do a lot of shadow work. But it teaches you how to integrate. Your shadow has gifts, right? The darker part of you, the part that you kind of hide, that is a whole ass part of you that needs to come out and needs to be integrated. When you can accept these parts about you that you hide, you become a more complete and powerful person. So I teach you how to do that. We do avatar work, which is embodying a deity, embodying an idea of yourself, of somebody else, so that you can become and take on the characteristics. In yoga, we call it the Ishta Devita. So you choose a deity or devita, and you would want to embody. So for example, if I wanted to embody Lakshmi, right? She's like beautiful, she's prosperous. Lakshmi prosperity is all about filling up everyone's bowl around her. She's just exuding love and beauty, and just she's also like, her energy is always flowing. So as I say this, I'm embodying her and I'm shining and sparkling like her. So I show you how to do. Again, doesn't have to be like a Hindu deity. It can be something that you feel near and dear to. Like I've had people use Wonder Woman, or they create a version of themselves and they embody that. If you think of the power, and if you're disregarding this, give me a moment here. So if you think about if you've ever seen a play or a movie and the emotional impact a movie or a play can have on you, you can play that character in your own life and create real emotions, which we know from the CLEAR formula that our emotions are going to cause actions and different results in our lives. So don't knock it till you tried it. Again, it's something that I leave for the later part in the course, because by then you're sort of on the level, you're feeling it, you're picking up what I'm putting down. All right. A couple of other things that I teach is goal cultivation and outcomes. So I want to know, what are your goals? What has prevented you from reaching them? How come you're not there yet? This is your goal. Are you sure that's your goal? Why are you choosing that? I ask a lot of questions like that. So I teach my people, my students, and my clients, and especially my people who go through my courses, how to show up for themselves with accountability, with compassion, with love. I show them how to, if they want to, serve the world in that way. Now, I'll tell you that I have more than 50% that people enroll in my courses just for personal development. They don't have any inkling of wanting to be a coach. A lot of times that changes because when you start feeling the difference in your body and the effects that these tools have, you're going to want to share them with everyone. You're probably going to share them with your friends, with your family. And then people just start to notice a change and a shift in you. Being in service is such a beautiful thing. And you don't have to be a life coach to use these tools. Like in any industry, improving your communication 100% will help your job. 100% if you learn how to organize your mind and your thoughts and your emotions and learn how to be more objective about the world, probably it's going to help you in your life and in your relationships, right? So literally every single thing that I teach, even if you didn't want to become a life coach, you can take these tools and it will be life-changing for you. So I want to just talk a little bit more about that. I have over 30 techniques that I teach. So I've listed some of them, but I have breakdowns, everything from like neurovascular holds to different types of breath work, depending on what you're feeling in your body, what you want to cultivate, different forms of meditation that will help you to manifest or process deep stuck emotions. Or, I have, there's so many different techniques that I have that I show you how to integrate into your life. And again, I think the 6 months afterwards that you spend with me where you're integrating the tools, because it's one thing to spend 8 days with me, which is powerful, 100%. But a lot of times what happens is people leave the course and then life gets in the way, doesn't it? Right? The stress of life, oh gosh, this person's in my face. And so you have support to, okay, now I'm not in this little container. Let me take these lessons outside. What do I do? How do I approach this? Questions that I have. Having guidance for that is so important. It's the difference of being on a yoga retreat and then continuing your yoga practice, right? It's easier on a retreat because somebody's guiding you, like you're away from all your stresses. I teach you how to show up, how to actually face yourself. And maybe you look at your life, you're like, wow, my life is freaking overwhelming. I need to change some things. And then you have the tools to do it. So As you can tell, I'm very fiery. I'm very passionate about this. I've been doing this work for over a decade. I hope that you come join us September 16th to the 23rd. I have 5 spots left in my coach course. Again, we do yoga, pranayama, meditation. We go through all 14 booklets that I have, over 30 techniques. And then after that, we have Zoom calls where you're going to have a mastermind. You're going to have a mentorship where I'm guiding you. I'm there for you. You have your whole sangha, your spiritual community. You guys are coaching each other. So there is a lot that you get from my course. Also, this course is available online. I have plenty of international students that join me, national and international. I have people that fly in for my program. I have people that, set aside big chunks of their time to be able to work with me. So if you're just seeing this and you're like, yeah, I've been stuck for a while. I really need to make a big change. I really want to commit to this. Then I'm your girl. You'd be hard pressed to find another teacher that cares as much as me, that is there for their students as much as me, and is that authentic. I show you all the different parts of me because it's very powerful. I don't just show up like one state. I think it's powerful for my students to see me in different states. I show you how to navigate it in real time. So I hope that you join us September 16th to the 23rd. You can go to thriveyogafit.com, check out the information. If you want to set up an interview, I interview all of my people first. You can email me, Erin@erincoach.com. If you're seeing this live, you can message me. And yeah, I hope that you have an amazing day. And if you want to make an impact in your own life, in your community life, if you want to deepen your interpersonal relationships, if you want to advance in your career path, if you need clarity about your life, I'm here for you. I'm willing to do the work. And if you are too, then sign up for my course. I have 5 spots left. Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Erin@erincoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Thank you so much. Namaste.